Hello, empowered warriors. Welcome to episode 42. Today, I have another very special guest, Jean Popovich. Her interview today is part of the Local Business Owner series. So, as a reminder, if you are a local business owner, meaning you're in the Boston metropolitan area, and you own a business or you know somebody that would like to be featured on this podcast, please make sure you reach out to me. Probably the best way to reach me is my Instagram. I am Angela Noel. So Jean is a yoga instructor and Ayurvedic practitioner who is currently helping families live better lives by forming better habits using Ayurvedic medicine and yoga. And we had a really lovely conversation. You're going to really feel Jean's heart when you listen to her speak and her passion. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy this episode. Stay tuned. Welcome to the Empowered Warrior Podcast. My name is Angela Noel, and I am an intuitive coach, acupuncturist, and Chinese herbalist. This podcast is all about empowerment, meaning how you can maintain your personal power in order to have the best life beyond your imagination. An empowered warrior is someone who has the identity of a person who is healthy, radiant, and free from all suffering, and has the tools ready and available to move through life's obstacles with confidence, ease, and a sense of freedom. In this podcast, I bring over 16 years experience in Chinese medicine, countless years of self-development, and a passion for helping others find their personal power. I will be discussing just a few of my favorite topics regarding health from a Chinese medicine perspective, brain habits, and spirituality, so that you can quickly pave your pathway to freedom and be free from the chains that have kept you stuck. My intention with this podcast is to serve as a guide for warriors who want to form a healthy foundation of body, mind, and spirit, and sustain it by changing who they are being from the inside and having a stronger connection to their higher selves. My goal is to help students end the unnecessary suffering that they place on themselves by having poor health habits, negative thought loops, and a lack of self-worth. I am so happy that you're here. Hello, empowered warriors. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. I'm really looking forward to this conversation and sharing this with you warriors. I have another really wonderful guest, Jean Popovich. Hi, Jean.
Hello, Angela.
Welcome. I'm so excited to have you here.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here and to talk to all the other empowered warriors.
Yes, they're in for a treat, I believe, because I feel like you have so much to offer the world. It really, based on our conversations that we've had, I really get this feeling that you are living your dharma or your higher purpose, aren't you?
I truly feel that I am. I am looking forward to also helping other women and men to find their own dharma.
That's really awesome. So why don't you tell me, I would love if you could just introduce yourself to the audience, let us know who you are, what specifically you do, and how you help the men and women that you help.
I'm a yoga instructor and Ayurvedic counselor trained in both America and India. I'm a mom of two wonderful, almost teenagers, almost 13-year-old and a
Oh, wow.
15-year-old. And my fur babies are about 8 months old, little sibling kittens that we got during the
Oh,
pandemic.
oh, you had me
And
a kitten.
I know. There's two of them, and they're identical. It's double the fun.
Double the pleasure, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So I've created habit evolution programs, habit evolution is a way to slowly bring better habits into your life. Sometimes we get a little bit overwhelmed when we think, oh, I should do this, I should do that, I need to stop doing this or stop doing that. But if you create a healthy container for yourself, you'll slowly let those lesser habits kind of slide away. If you've created a daily program with daily rituals in which you are not participating in perhaps drinking wine or any other habit you want to let go of, you have to replace it with something else. And if you slowly over time will create a more of a lifestyle and give you a better chance of actually continuing the habit for the rest of your life.
That's wonderful. And you know what I heard you say, there's this idea of not just short term, like so many weight loss programs, using that as an example. And I know that's changing with weight loss programs. It's not all of them, but like this short term, like I want to lose 20 pounds in a month or whatever, or 3 months. But what I'm hearing from your program is it's all about creating lasting change for the rest of their life. Am I right about
Yes.
that? Yeah.
Yes, definitely. You want to slowly do this because you want to develop the relationships with people that can help you and can support your change in habits, in your change in lifestyle. Program I've created uses a group dynamic to be able to do this. We're all going through the same things at the same time. Even I'm participating just as much. We have accountability partners, and these friends that you are in the group with may be your friends for life.
I love that. That sounds really wonderful. And, you know, I feel like habits are something that we often think about as we associate that maybe with like the beginning of the year, for example. Like, oh, I'm going to change my habit of drinking too much wine, right? But what many people don't realize is that without having this methodology in place, and from what I'm hearing, and I would love to dive deep if it's okay, with having that support system. And oftentimes habits, from what I understand, come down to an identity too. Like I'm this person, right, that has no self-control, for example. And that could come from a belief that maybe started when they were 10 years old. And I'm curious to know if you specifically, how do you walk through the changing of habits with your clients, and how would that look for somebody that's interested in joining your program?
Well, that is entirely it, Angela. That is why we have this for 4 cycles per year. There's only 10 habits that we are technically working with. Habits like eating earlier dinner, going to bed earlier, waking up and meditating, starting a yoga practice, keeping your kitchen clean. These seem so funny, but they're not. They're necessary for you to be able to have a structure around you to facilitate your healthy evolution and your healthy growth.
And it sounds like they're very foundational too. Like, would you be willing to share? I know you shared already of like 4 or 5 of them, but what are the other habits that you have them work on?
Well, specifically, it's earlier, later dinner, going to bed earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and starting your day off right, because your how you wake up in the morning is dictated by how you went to bed the night before.
Oh, I love this. Yeah.
Yes, and I use Ayurveda because when I started looking into Ayurveda, I started from the cooking perspective, from the use of spices. And then as I delved deeper and deeper into it, they also have a whole seasonal seasonal eating program, and a daily rhythms program. And I started understanding and this is what we will learn as you go through the habits. I'm also teaching people individually about Ayurveda, and our initial consultation will dictate how each individual goes through the program. So getting back to the 10 habits as being the breath body practices that you'll learn that you do in the morning, and the self massage, which is a very important self-care practice that is not in our daily life, not here in America at least. The ability to be silent, the cleanliness practices of dry brushing and tongue scraping. We learn why we do that, why it's energetically, why it matters, physically, why it matters, and you feel better. The evidence is that you will feel better if you do these simple practices. The last practice is to live in ease, to live in flow. And that might take a few cycles to get.
Yes.
But you will get there with help from our group, little help from our friends.
I love it. These are all so important. And I love, Jean, how you incorporate Ayurvedic medicine into, the habit aspect of things, because like you said, we're all individuals, even though we're similar, right? But we're different. And I'm wondering if you could speak just a little bit about Ayurvedic medicine for those warriors listening who maybe they've heard of it before, but they don't really know what it is. If you could just offer an overview of what Ayurvedic medicine is.
Well, sure. Ayurveda is a 5,000-year-old medical science from India, and it was oral and it was mostly taught in Sanskrit. Yoga is part of Ayurveda. Ayurveda is like a bigger umbrella that includes everything from cooking and herbs to actual surgery. There's proof that cosmetic surgeries were done by Ayurvedic doctors thousands and thousands of years ago. Yeah, and so Ayurveda is based on the principle, just similar to Chinese medicine, in that there's 5 elements. There's air, earth, ether, fire, and water. Everything and everyone is made up of those 5 elements. Some people have a lot of air and ether in them, which would their constitution would be vata. If someone has a lot of fire and water, their constitution is pitta. If someone has earth and water, their constitution would be kapha. It's important to know these things about yourself because you're able to accept yourself. You can have radical acceptance of yourself because for example, I'm very pitta, so I have a lot of fire and a little bit, and pitta kapha, and I have a little bit of earth. So I'm a little grounded, I'm a little fiery. And eating certain foods will exaggerate the fire. Eating certain foods will exaggerate the kapha, or certain grounding practices will increase someone's kapha if necessary.
I love this actually, and I'm just curious, is there just so people can get, if I may, an idea of what to look for if they're like, what am I vata, am I kapha, am I pitta? What would be one quality for each constitution? So people are like, oh, I mean, I know you mentioned the fire, but maybe like a personality trait, or can you look at somebody and say, oh, she's definitely pitta?
Well, you can do that a little bit, but it goes even deeper to the way your mind works. You can even have a vata constitution, physical constitution, in that you're very slender and very fast. You make fast movements, and have a kapha mind, which would be much more slow and romantic and grounded. So it's simple and complex at the same time.
Yeah. So they would definitely, if somebody's interested, they would definitely want to reach out to somebody like you to learn more, because one thing that I talk about often in this podcast is that, and it probably started when I started studying Chinese medicine, is that because we're all different, we can't possibly be doing the same thing. We can't possibly be taking the same medicine and expect the same results as our neighbor. And I love that's what I love about Chinese medicine. And it sounds like Ayurvedic medicine, from what I know about, is very similar. And if you're not really sure what works best for you and what foods work for you, if you suspect that maybe something isn't working for you, that Ayurvedic medicine is probably a really good route to take.
Yes, you can do a simple questionnaire that will give you a kind of a blanket answer. And I would love to give your listeners a 20% discount on my programs, or a 20-minute consultation, free consultation over Zoom, if they mention you and the Empowered Warrior podcast, because it's refreshing, because you usually see that these things are, you've always felt this, you've always been attracted to certain things and not liked other things. And it probably is something just in your constitution.
Yeah, so true. And I'm curious to know that your ideal client, or the type of person that would come in and join your program, what would be some things that they tend to struggle with if they work with you?
Oh, many of my clients are entrepreneurs, and they are struggling with stress, juggling being moms and being teachers, and especially during this pandemic, being 24-hour caretakers. And they're lacking a structure they're looking for structure.
Yeah, they're looking for structure. And maybe what I'm hearing too is that they're so overwhelmed and so stressed that maybe it's that you hear it from the airplane industry, right? Put your oxygen mask on first. And women in particular, it's a cliche for a reason, a cliche because it's true. We don't always take care of ourselves first. And
No.
so this sounds like an amazing opportunity for entrepreneurial women who are struggling and need that space where they can feel safe, nurtured, and where and that they're taking care of themselves.
Yes, yes. And with this program, because it is an online structure, I'm able to offer it for the full family, because I understand, as a single parent of 2 teenagers, I understand the difficulties of changing when you have people that are depending on you to be doing cooking or cleaning, or depending on you just in general. And these practices can easily be put into a family setting. The rhythms, you can change your rhythms, you can change the family with this. Anyone that is in the household can attend the yoga classes that are in the program. Anyone in the household can attend the meditation classes. And I encourage that the rest of the family to support the person who is the first in the program.
Yeah, that's so important, because a lot of times I feel like when, a family member embarks on something new, especially for moms, I think, and women, again, is that there's resistance that comes through from the family. Oh, why is mom all of a sudden like going to bed earlier and not washing my laundry or whatever? Having that agreement, and I love how you are encouraging the whole family to take part, because first of all, if mom is happy, right? What do they say? Happy mom, happy wife, happy mom, happy life. So there's that component. If mom's taking care of herself, everybody thrives. And it sounds like you're working mainly with clients, or mainly women, but
yes, mainly women, but there are some couples. I work with couples also, and people that do have young children.
Wonderful. Yeah. So
I have a separate program for teens to try to get your teens back, turn it around, healthier habits for your teen during this pandemic.
Oh, wow. That's like gold mine right there.
And I also do perinatal work. So women that are ready to have children, or, pregnant, or postnatal can also join this program because it lends itself to being individualized so easily once you understand your constitution.
I love that. Yeah, I know we talked a little bit about how you supported perinatal women and the fourth trimester and all that. So
Yes, that's
so
another program I offer is a fourth trimester program. It's online, but that means that we can have women from all over the world joining us as you move after something that I heard on your podcast, Angela, about women really being dropped after they have the baby and not being supported in our society, having to go back to work and wondering why 2 years later they have incontinence or still have hemorrhoids.
mm-hmm.
Like that should not happen. That it really would have been taken care of earlier, more easily earlier,
Mm-hmm.
had the woman had that postnatal support.
Yeah.
In my postnatal program, we do a lot of pelvic floor work, a lot of meditation. You're with the baby because I know how hard it would be to be without the child,
Mm-hmm.
and in many cultures, and Ayurveda has a 40-day after birth kind of protocol. The woman is just taken care of, hand and foot, massaged every day to get her body back into alignment, and so that she can be a better mother. She has just gone through a trauma of birth. It's difficult, and I think that we need to honor that as a society more. But whatever I can do to help the woman get back the vitality that she has lost.
Yeah, it's so important, and I'm so happy to hear that you and we had another podcast guest, Angela Potter, who talked about this too. Is that like you said, women are often not supported. When the baby's born, it's all about the baby, right?
Mm-hmm.
Baby, 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 and moms, of course, as we tend to do as humans, we beat ourselves up for not healing fast enough or not losing the post-birth body weight. And like you said, in so many cultures, women are like taken care of. They're like queens after they give birth because they just produced another life, right? And it is traumatic, the whole process. I've heard it can be very traumatic to give birth. And so I'm so happy that you are supporting women in this way also, Jean. It's so needed. Your work is needed. And just having the awareness, like putting the word out there that this work is important.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we live in a very exciting time because it's like changing at rapid speed right now.
It really is. I've had conversations over Zoom with friends, and I'm like, why did we never do this before?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why didn't we use like visual phone call, Skype, and all of those? Like now, it's like everyone is doing it.
Yeah.
It just wasn't a habit. We
Yeah.
weren't in the habit.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's been so many silver linings, right? Just knowing that you don't need to. There's other ways of communicating and connecting with people other than, oh, we got to get together and have lunch. Like we can do a quick Zoom chat for 20 minutes,
Yeah. I am very happy that I'm able to offer this program to everyone worldwide and to teach yoga over Zoom and not have to be place dependent and not have to rent a space and have 20 people in the class. I can teach one person much more intimately. I also do individual consultations outside of these programs, and I can do that over Zoom. Even teaching yoga, it's an amazing tool now.
So powerful. I'm really excited for you and for what you offer and how you help people. I'm just curious to know, with this podcast, I talk a lot about self-worth and aligning values and brain habits, right? Habits don't stop necessarily at the things we do, but how we think and what we're putting into our minds. And I'm just curious if you could share, if you have a story or two that has proven to you that anything is possible.
I feel that I am simply living proof of anything is possible. that my life is in such flow and has always been, that I'm always blessed with every step I take. I'm always grateful with every step I take. I feel that I have an idea, I want to do something. Oh, such as when I was going to Brazil. I had this vague idea, vague notion that I wanted to travel to Brazil. And so I went on the internet and things happened so rapidly. Within 4 weeks, I found myself in the middle of the Brazilian Amazon teaching English,
Wow.
being paid to be in Brazil.
Amazing.
Yeah. And from that, I met friends of a lifetime. I had experiences of a lifetime. I was able to breathe the lungs of the world and become fluent in Portuguese.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
I think if you have your vision and you just let the pieces fall into place, they will. Just have faith and keep hold of what you want. Keep your goal in mind.
That's wonderful. I love that. I love that story too, about how you just, you visualized it and you made it happen within a month. And that is so powerful. Going back to the habits and being the brain, it starts in the brain, right? So many of the things we do are subconscious, and the way we think is so important to how we live our lives, or the outcome of our lives, I should say. And the fact that you decided you were going to go to Brazil, to the rainforest, and then you found yourself there. Things can happen. Like I've just been blown away by that ideal, that things can just happen in an instant if you put your mind to it, literally.
Yes.
That's amazing. Thanks for sharing that. Do you have any gifts that make you unique? What specifically makes you unique, and in the context of people finding you and wanting to work with you, what are some of your gifts?
I'm a natural teacher, and I have always been drawn to bettering myself and easily communicating information to others. So I think people are drawn to the way I communicate, very down to earth. I'm very grounded. Although I have a lot of ideas, I think people feel safe with me and sharing things with me, even as a friend, or as, I'm not a therapist, psychologist, or anything, but people feel open to share many intimate things with me.
Yeah.
And allow me to advise them, which I am grateful that people are let me share my knowledge with them.
That is a beautiful gift, actually. And it is, I know that that's not something that everybody has, is that you're likable. I mean, I don't know if you remember, but I did meet you before in person at the yoga studio. You did a workshop with Jen. Remember Jen? You did, I think it was a workshop on sleep. That was you, right?
That was me.
Yeah.
Yes, Ayurveda at Revolution.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
And you and Jen, masked yoga teacher, did a workshop together. So I definitely, we've met, and there is a very open vibe that you have. And I don't know if for the listeners, if you can feel that in Jean's voice, but you're definitely a healer, I believe.
Thank you. I remember that now.
Diane and we took that together. I was definitely struggling with sleep at the time. So takeaways, do you have any takeaways for the audience?
Just for them to keep their goal in mind, and they will achieve what they want by being open and receiving what the universe has to give them. And I would love to offer them my course and have your podcast listeners in my programs. I would love to meet all of them.
Yes. I love that. You mentioned earlier your offer is it 20% off of your group program?
Yes, 20% off my group programs or a free 20-minute consultation. Ayurvedic consultations is kind of fun because you do a little quiz to find your constitution, and it's very informative.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's a very generous offer for warriors out there that are like, yeah, I think I want to do that. That's a really great opportunity to find out more about who you are and your constitution from an Ayurvedic perspective. One last thing, how can the fellow warriors get in touch with you or find you online?
You can go to my website, riseupyoga.net. Email is jeanvirginia108@gmail.com. That will be in the show notes.
Yep.
And yeah.
Wonderful.
And Rise Up Yoga MA on Facebook.
Fabulous. I will definitely put all that information in the show notes too. So in case you're driving or you're not able to write that down, it will be in the show notes. So make sure to check Jean out online and consider her amazing offer. So Jean, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate you. I think the warriors listening are going to gain a lot of perspective by listening and learning from you. And thank you so much for coming.
Well, thank you, Angela.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to the Empowered Warrior podcast. It is an honor and a privilege to have you as a listener. If you've enjoyed listening to this podcast and would like to help others pave their pathway to freedom, end their disempowerment and suffering, and become an empowered warrior, please share this podcast with your friends and family. Also, it is my intention to help humanity grow and evolve to their highest potential. So if you really enjoy what you're hearing, please help me spread the word by leaving a review in iTunes. Thank you again, and I am so grateful to be able to serve you in this very exciting way.